Hey engineers, this is Mr. Hernandez, and I want to welcome you guys back to the School of Engineering now that we're here in 2021. I hope all of you guys had great holidays and you enjoyed the time that you guys had off, but we are jumping right back into our assignments here. Now, one big change that we've got here is that you're actually going to have 2 weeks to work on your assignment instead of just one. So make sure you take advantage of that extra time, ask questions if you have them, make sure everything's 100% correct before you turn it in. And on that note, let's go ahead and take a look at your assignment so far. So you guys are learning about the 7-segment display and how to use it. And the first part of your assignment is to figure out what you need to do to display different numbers with the 7-segment display. Now, I'm going to leave most of this to you guys, but I want to give you guys one little fact check so you can see if you're on the right track. So here we can see how the 7-segment display is set up. We can see how all of the segments are labeled. And I asked you guys to identify what parts need to light up for each number. So let's take a look at number 2. I'll give you guys this one as a freebie. So for number 2, we can see what panels need to light up. They make the shape of a 2 here. And now just to double check, let me check my diagram. So it looks like for the 2, we've got the top, which is A, we've got B, we've got G, D, E, and D. So A, B, G, E, and D all need to be lit up. So let's take that information. Let's go down here. So A is going to be on, B is going to be on, D is on, E is on, and so is G. Let's just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like that's right. And those are the only ones that need to be on. So that means that these other 2 need to be off. So I hope that clarifies things here for you. Like I said, this one's a little bit of a freebie. So if you aren't sure how this works, there's your example. And you guys should be able to do the other 9 numbers here on your own. Now that's our first part. So let's go ahead and jump into the actual circuitry and programming for this assignment. So first, I want to start right here. So this is wiring and coding. This is how you get to these instructions. And there's one thing that I do want you guys to write down in your notebooks if you have space for it, and that is the wiring map here. So with our circuit, we need each connection. So the connections to A, B, C, D, E, F, and G on the 7-segment display, we need those to connect to specific pins on the Arduino. That way we can get everything set up correctly. So A is going to go to 2, B is going to go to 3, and so on all the way down the list. So it would be a good idea to write that down just to make sure that you can do that wiring correctly. So take a moment, do that, and then once you're ready, let's go ahead and jump into Tinkercad where you guys are going to build the circuit. So make sure that you click on your class period, make sure you sign in. And for this one, there is no lesson in Tinkercad for it. You're just going to be making it on your own. So let's go ahead and go to circuits. And I'll give you guys a preview here. You're going to be building this circuit right here. So the 7-segment display is going to be connected to the Arduino, and we're going to have a resistor there as well to protect it. So let's see what you guys need to do in order to build that circuit. So the first thing that we want to add to this circuit is an Arduino. So we've got an Arduino right here. We can just drag that out. And then we also need to add the 7-segment display. Now the easiest way to do that is to actually just search for it right here. So if you type in 7-segment, it should pop up right here as other components. And once you drag this out, you're going to want to change it from common anode to common cathode. That's going to make things a little bit easier for us here. And one other thing that'll make this easier is if we put it kind of over here in vaguely this position. You'll see why in just a moment. Now that it's here, let's take a look at the structure of this. So the 7-segment display is basically made out of 8 separate LEDs in their little sections here, and they're all connected to the same ground pin. So when we say common, that means that they all have ground in common. Now, just like the LEDs that we've used before, if we connect them straight to common or straight to ground, they'll actually blow up. They'll damage themselves. So we need to add a resistor as our first action. You can add a resistor, and this is a really good trick here. If you hover your mouse over each little circle here, it'll show you a little label. So like right here, this pin is connected to the segment that's labeled E. And I'm looking for the one that's labeled common right now, and that's the one right here in the middle. So I'm going to draw a wire connecting that to our resistor, which is connected to ground. And that's going to be shared for all the LEDs. So we don't need to have 8 different connections to ground. That's what makes this a lot easier to use. Now, one other thing I should point out, there is also another common connection at the top. You only need to use one of them. It's easiest to use the one at the bottom. So we can just keep it like that. Now we need to begin our wiring. And this is going to look complicated, but I promise it's not too bad. What we really need to do here is connect all 7 of the segments to pins on the Arduino. And the reason why I say it's going to look complicated is because there's going to be a lot of cables going everywhere. But if you take your time and break it down, we're just doing the same thing 7 times in a row. And that thing that we're doing is really simple. We're just connecting a wire. So if we just take it one step at a time, it'll be nice and easy here. So let's start off with our first one. So if you look here at the top right, so not in the very corner, but right here next to it, this is the one labeled A. And I want to keep things in order as much as possible. So I want A to be our first pin. I want B to be our next pin. And because there's some things that go on in the Arduino, we can't use pins 0 and 1 for this. So we're going to be starting off at 2. So just like in that table that I showed you before, we're going to be connecting pin A to pin 2. Now, a few things that can help you keep track of this. If you see these pins here, you can use these to keep your cables nice and lined up. I like to keep mine at nice 90-degree angles like this. So this point is going to be right above pin 2 on the Arduino and right in line with the pin on the 7th segment display. Alright, so there is A going to 2. So our next one is going to be B, which is going down to 3. So from B to 3. And next is going to be C. Now this one says decimal point, and we're not going to use the decimal point at all for this, so we can ignore the decimal point. Let's start with C. So C is going to go over to pin 4 now. And if you see the way that I'm doing this, I make the connections and then I line them up just to keep them nice and organized. Common is already taken care of, so now we've got D, and D is coming over here to pin 5. Now this is the part that's the easiest to get messed up on, so just take your time, use a mouse preferably, and remember it's okay if your wires cross over each other like this. You just want to make sure that they have the right connections. So you want to make sure that D is going to 5, and then that E is coming over here to 6. And then F comes all the way around here, and you'll notice I'm kind of going around so that we can still see the segment. So that's coming around to 7. And very last, we've got G, which needs to come all the way down here to 8. And if you're not sure where a cable is going, probably the best way to check is to actually click on the cable, and you should be able to see both of the endpoints highlighted like that. And there we've got it. So now our 7-segment display is wired. Now let's go ahead and move on to code. Oh, and side note, this is what you should take a screenshot of for displaying the circuit. So make sure that all of your cables are connected nice and neat, and try and show the 7-segment display connected to the Arduino. So moving on to code. Again, just like the wiring, this is going to look complicated, but it's really not. It's just one simple thing that we have to do 7 times. And all we need to do here is be able to turn different pins to high or to low. So we're going to clear out the program. We're going to drag out this set pin block, and we're going to add 7 of these. That's because every time we want to show a number on this, we need to set every single pin. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here's 7. All right, now I want to be able to show the year on this 7-segment display, and we're now in 2021. So that means that the first number I need to show here is the number 2. Well, let's go double check which ones need to be on for this. So for number 2, we need everything to be on except for C and F. So everything needs to be set to high except for C and F. So all of these are set to high right now. Now I just need to change the numbers so that they match. So that's going to be 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, everything except for C and F needs to be set to high. So let's check that other chart. So C is pin 4, F is pin 7, so 4 and 7 need to be set to off. So 4 and 7 are set to low. And now I'm just going to try this. And if I did it right, it should show a 2. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So that's one number, and that's a great start. So I'm going to add 2 things here to keep track of this. So first, I'm going to add a comment. So this is going to, this comment is just here to keep track of the code, because we're going to have a lot of these blocks. So I want this comment to just tell me what number I'm showing. So this is going to be number 2. And then, just like with the LED, we need a wait block in between each value so that we can show, or so that we actually have time to see it. Now I'm going to set this wait duration to 0.5 seconds. Like I said before, this program's going to look complicated, but it's not. What's the only thing that's difficult about it is that we're doing the same thing over and over again. We have to set all 7 of these pins at the same time, and we have to do it for each number we want to show. Now, luckily, we can use a few tricks to make this easier for us, and the first one is going to be using the duplicate feature. So we're going to right-click on the comment and select duplicate so we can copy this whole section. Now, I want to be able to show the current year, so we're going to show 2. Now I need to show 0. And I need to double check which digits or which segments need to be lit up in order to show 0. So you can refer back to your notes here in order to figure out which segments need to be turned on for this. Now you can probably figure out that almost all of them are going to need to be lit up for the number 0. So that's going to be all of them except for G, actually. And referring to our other chart, G is pin 8. So everything except for pin 8 should be set to high. And pin G should be set to low. So let's start this simulation. So it's cycling between our numbers, 2, then 0, 2, then 0. And if it was still 2020, that would be great. But unfortunately for you guys, it's not. So you've got a little bit more work to do. Luckily, this year is pretty repetitive. So you can right click, duplicate this whole thing and put it back down here. So now we've got 2020, and we just need to change this last one to 1. And for this last set of 7, you'll have to adjust these values so that it displays the number 1. Because even though I've changed the comment here, you still have to figure out which pins need to be high and which need to be low in order to show this properly. Okay, so I'm going to leave this last part up to you. And when you take the screenshot of this program, you can zoom out like this so that you can see the whole thing. Or if you want to show it a little bit more clearly, you can give me a top half, scroll down, and take a second screenshot. Both of those are fine. Just make sure that your screenshots are legible. All right, engineers. So once you have the screenshot of your program, or the screenshot of your circuit and the screenshot of your program, you'll be good to go, and you can go ahead and turn that in. Now remember, you have 2 weeks to work on this, but that doesn't mean you should leave it till the last minute. Make sure that you start on this early. Make use of that time so that you're not stuck there on a Friday night trying to finish this. If you start on it early, remember you can always ask questions, you can ask for help, you can come to office hours, and make sure that you can complete that assignment properly. All right, engineers, I'm so glad to be back for 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed this assignment. I hope you guys enjoy the new format too. And as always, feel free to send me an email if you have any questions, or you can look for me in your classes later on. That's all for now.